Hey everyone, how's it going? Um, Before I start the video, just want to remind you guys, leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that lovely stuff. I want to do that at the start of the video and at the end of the video, just to remind you guys. Before I get into the reviews, I want to say something. Yesterday I looked at my Social Blade, analytics, and apparently in 19 days I'm predicted to have 50 subscribers, which seems like out of this world. But I want to prove Social Blade wrong. I want to get to 50 subscribers before 19 days. See if you guys can, share the videos around, get people to subscribe. Build the community, guys. Build the community. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into the reviews. First up is Captain America issue 703. There's a lot of shine on that. That's not better. Slightly better. Captain America issue 703. It's alright. I haven't really been enjoying this arc at all. Mark Waid really doesn't understand Captain America as a character. It's just not a fun book to read, really. It's like the opposite of fun. It's kind of depressing, really, reading this. So essentially, we have this guy who's Jack Rogers. It's set insubordinate amount of time in the future. This is Steve Rogers' grandson, and he has a son who is critically ill, and of course he's called Steve Rogers. Why wouldn't he be? And in the last issue, he went to find a giant cosmic cube and set loose the Red Skull. And in this issue, he teams up with the Red Skull to basically send back the Kree who are planning to invade this technologically superior Earth. It shows, because the Red Skull in this has like several powers of the cosmic cube, so it shows him as being this like almighty, all-powerful threat. Why he's joining with Jack Rogers, I don't really know. Even with the little explanation that Jack Rogers gives to him, it's still really out of character for the Red Skull to help anyone. So yeah, that I didn't get, and there is definitely a lot more action in this than in anything else. But I feel like the main problem with this story arc is that it keeps on cutting away from the main action to tell these little stories from the past with Captain America, where our Steve is in the present day, not in the future, and he's in a predicament, or he's being Captain America. And in the last issue, it kind of made sense because it tied in with the plot. In this one, it didn't really tie in with the plot at all. So yeah, it keeps cutting away. It's not really fun to read anymore, and it's just not invested in any of the characters. And when you're not using the main like title character of the series, well, we haven't seen him for the last 3 issues. It's very disappointing, and you need to make us care more about the characters. Luckily, there's only one more issue of this arc left, and then Ta-Nehisi Coates comes on, and if his issue on his start on Captain America is anywhere near as good as that previous issue of Black Panther was, then Captain America might bump up on my review list, but so far it's right at the bottom. Really disappointing, because this week in particular, Mark Waid showed that he can write. And he can write well. But, unfortunately, he didn't write too well there. Next we have Hunt for Wolverine, Weapon Lost, issue 2. And this was both better and worse than the first issue. Well, the first issue definitely felt like setup. It was definitely a really quick read. This is not a quick read. It's almost boring in a way. There's very interesting ideas where they're going around the world, and they're going to all of the places that we saw in these, like, Where is Wolverine? Like, backup stories in, like, previous issues of other runs, and they're going through, like, trying to find Wolverine and trying to find where he is now. All the while Wolverine is in Canada, and I don't know if this is the Wolverine, if the Wolverine that shows up at the end of this is Logan, or if it's someone else that's trying to look like Logan, or if Logan's back and he's under mind control. I don't know, but yeah. There is a character death at the end of this. It's not really one anyone cares about. But yeah, it's basically just a team of detectives in the Marvel Universe looking for Wolverine. And while we see Wolverine, see a Wolverine going around killing people. And by the end of the issue, they seem to have found. They've gone to where Wolverine has been murdering all these people, and 3 of them leave. The three of them that are actually useful fighters leave, leaving Cypher alone. And of course, Cypher, his mutant ability is just he's good with languages. It's not really a good fighter, and of course he comes across this Wolverine character, this version of Wolverine, and he ends up being killed. So yeah. Apart from that, nothing else really happens in this. Yeah. It's very disappointing seeing that it's Charles Soule and he's doing so well on Daredevil, and this was a real step down from that. And I just really want this to pick up, and hopefully it does by next issue. It looks like it will. And it has to. It's only got 2 issues left. It has to pick up. But yeah, I really have not been enjoying Weapon Lost. It's probably at the bottom of the Hunt for Wolverine issues. Of all of the new Marvel Fresh Start series, it seems like they've all been pick of the weeks, or like near the top of my review list. It's a shame that Deadpool didn't reach that highly. It's a real shame, because on any other week this would have been really good. This would have been like up the top, and it's definitely a big step up from Jerry Duggan. But it's just the rest of the books this week was so good that this really did slump down there. Scotty Young really gets Deadpool, and he really does like understand the character of Deadpool. My only real gripe, and the only thing that keeps this down, is the fact that the story is that it's telling two stories. It's telling two arcs in one comic. Like the main story with Deadpool being the main story is like the first half, and then there's a backup which is the second half. Usually backup is like just a few pages. This is half of the book, or slightly less than half, but still a large chunk of the book just devoted to retelling, just devoted to like a few off jokes and like showing a future villain who Deadpool will no doubt be coming across in the near future. But I feel like there should have been more focus on the main arc, and they should have just left that for like issue 7, when, if this does even reach issue 7, which it probably will. It's Deadpool. So basically what the main plot of this is, we have Deadpool going back to being a mercenary, and he's got a job to kill this guy called Rocco. He does, and then he goes back to his apartment where a Negasonic Teenage Warhead is, and of course she's in the title. Why not? She's in the movie, yeah. And then it switches over to the Guardians of the Galaxy for the rest of the book, and for a Deadpool book, it has surprisingly little Deadpool in it, and that's who Deadpool's fighting. That's the villain of the arc. Just someone who looks practically the same as Galactus. It shows that the only person that can face this is Deadpool. Yeah, don't get me wrong, it's very fun, and it's definitely Deadpool, but it's just it's just that this was such a good week that this really didn't really have a fighting chance, and it's just there's not enough Deadpool for it to be a Deadpool book. It's more centered around the Guardians of the Galaxy. But yeah, I'm really excited to see where this goes, and I hope that Scotty Young keeps to this style of humor, and that it keeps, and that it just sticks to being a fun book, and I think that's what we need. With all the other like Marvel Fresh Start titles being so dark and depressing, I feel like Deadpool is going to be a nice, fun comic, despite the art being very dark. Next up we have Daredevil, issue 603. The way this arc is shaping up is nothing less than epic. We start off with Matt Murdock coming across Elektra, who is fighting the Hand. She's trying to escape from New York. Daredevil eventually manages to get her to stay in New York and help fight the Hand. But right now, Matt Murdock is the mayor of New York, and he has Foggy as his deputy mayor, and he's basically fighting an all-out war with the Hand, who have come in. They've taken out Wilson Fisk, who's now in hospital with several arrows in him. So Daredevil has to fight a war against the Hand. He has to fight it like a superhero and like a mayor. So he's basically got all of the street level superheroes to fight in the Hand, and he's getting out all of these criminals like Hammerhead, Owlsley, the Owl, Diamondback, and Black Cat. He's breaking them out of prison, basically saying, the Hand are taking your cities. Help me fight to protect your domain. And they accept. And then we have this character called the Beast, who is this thing that the Hand pray to. And he has gathered like enough souls from the people that the Hand have killed, and he releases this gas, this toxin that covers the city, and because of Matt Murdock's senses, heightened senses, he basically he gets affected by the toxins quicker than everyone else, so he's out of the picture. And then we get introduced to this new character who's wearing this gas mask, and he looks very much like he would be a villain. And then he takes off the helmet, takes off the mask, and it's Matt Murdock's priest. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. I'm really looking forward to where it goes, and it's nothing short of epic. And yeah, very much looking forward to this, and to where it goes in the near future. Penultimate book of today, Doctor Strange. And for as sad as I was that Donny Cates has gone, and for as much as I thought Mark Waid was going to trash this like he trashed Captain America, I was very much wrong. I expected this to be terrible. I really did. I really expected this to be quite bad. I was pleasantly surprised. We start off with Doctor Strange fighting this, like, inconceivable threat, and obviously he wins. And then we fast forward to 7 years later, and Doctor Strange is losing his magic, and the way that it describes this is with very little dialogue. There is, like, Doctor Strange is practically silent throughout the whole of this, and it just shows him spiraling into this, like, state of depression as he loses everything. At first he loses his sense of, like, the magical world around him, then he loses his touch with magic, and then he loses, like, the magic that is keeping his hands from being, like, a shaky, nervous wreck. So he meets up with Tony Stark, who basically has this solution which is going to space. And so, of course, Doctor Strange, he would do anything to get his magic back. He says yes. He goes into space and ends up being captured by these aliens that see him as a threat, and by the end of the issue he's imprisoned. Really like this, and this is what I meant by Deadpool being a shining light and being the only fun book, because this is a lot of things. Fun is not one of them. This is very enjoyable, it's very good, but it's not fun in any way. It's almost depressing, the way that it describes how lifeless Doctor Strange has become now that he doesn't have, like, the magic. And the art is brilliant at, like, describing this. Like, we have pages like this which just show how desperate Stephen has become. And this is, like, the closest thing that the closest comic book that has come to. This is the closest I've ever come to crying whilst reading a comic book. This was really the description of, like, Stephen Strange, like, spiraling into this depression almost, is, like, almost tear-jerking in a way. It's just beautifully written, beautifully drawn. Yeah, it's really, really damn good. And I struggled keeping this from being my pick of the week, but there was one book that just beat it out, and you're gonna have to wait a minute to see what that book is. The Immortal Hulk, #1. I am so glad that this was so good, because the last Hulk series with fucking Gogut Hulk was so bad, but this is just amazing. This is all I ever wanted from a Hulk book. This is a true return to form. The art is inside reminds me a lot of Mark Bagley when he did Venom. It's very, very dark, very gritty, and it's just like there's a lot of browns in the art. There's a lot of, like, even the greens are very dark, like moody greens. Everything is toned down to look as dark as possible, and I hope that it keeps with that, because I really liked this. I really did. We start off with a guy who's about to rob a store. And in the store there's a little girl, and of course there's Bruce Banner in the store, because why wouldn't he be? And so this guy goes in there, he shoots the little girl, and shoots Bruce Banner in the head, killing both of them. And then he kills the store clerk as well, and then just runs away with the till. But that's when we see that this girl that he killed was 12, and at the morgue something starts to change in one of these places, and the hand starts to turn green, and then we go to the Dogs of Hell, who are berating this guy for basically killing 3 people who were innocent, and they're still gonna help him out, but he still owes them money. And then they hear a loud thum. I think you can see what's coming. Of course they think it's a bomb. They go to check the generator, which has been destroyed. Then everyone starts screaming. And that's when they start describing seeing this devil man. They start seeing, like, Satan, and then these 2 green hands just reach into the building, and we see this guy start to run. He runs for his car. He can't get in the car. He drops his keys. He's obviously scared now, and then he gets confronted by the Hulk, where we get 2 double page spreads. The first being of a pan shot showing the size of the Hulk compared to this guy, and then we get zoomed in to the face of the Hulk as he starts berating this guy with psychological torture, and he starts to say, "How does it feel in your hand? Heavy, right? That's all that stopping power, heavier than it is at the range. Even you go to the range." And we see that the Hulk is more intelligent now. He is more violent. He's more systematic. He's almost become like the Punisher in a way. And like at first, and like the faces that Joe Bennett draws, like showing that the Hulk has almost become like maniacal and like much more sinister than ever before, and showing just going from faces of disgust to almost glee to being happy to like kill these people. And we finish off with Bruce Banner, and it's that famous scene of him looking in the mirror and the Hulk's looking back at him. And I loved this. It just reminded me, even though it is like a very horrific, like, horror story, and the Hulk has become more of a horror monster than he's ever been before. It definitely reminded me a lot of the old Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno show, where he's walking the highways and byways of America, trying to stay out of, trying to keep his head down, but always ending up in trouble. And the Hulk just comes out, and the Hulk just wants to do. The Hulk is a hero in this, but only in the sense that he just ends up on the right side. He's a force for good, but he's not really the one that you want to show up. If you know what I mean. He's become more like the Punisher than he's ever been before. And the way that he's written is very, very good. And this is what I want from the Hulk in the future going forward. I'm not really a big fan of the Hulk being this, Hulk smash, just dumb brute. I prefer the Hulk being this just systematic, like, Punisher-esque character. But like, no one expects the Hulk to be such a strategist, and such a maniacal strategist. It's almost like he's still got some of the Doc Green inside of him. Yeah, I really damn enjoyed this, and it was just so good. But yeah, without further ado, those were all of the books that I picked up this week. Those are all of the books reviewed for this week. I will see you next Thursday. Until then, till all are one, don't forget to like, subscribe, share the video with your family and friends, comment, hit the notification bell so you never miss my ugly mug in your subscription feed. And this was a very long video, so I'm not surprised if you didn't stick along with this one. But peace.